Well, this is your midday news from Vox Africa studios in London. I am Pamela Bonkyung. Let's have a look at our very first story, which is in Somalia, where the Somalian president, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, on Saturday named Abdi Farah Sheridan as the country's new prime minister. Sheridan has received a nod from foreign governments as a presence volatile Somalia needs. Sheridan is a political novice, just very much as President Mohamud is. And Sheridan has been a prominent businessman in Kenya and is married to an influential Somalia peace activist, Asha Haji Elmi. Sheridan has been earmarked to triumph over all the clan politics that seem to engulf much of the politics of Somalia. Meanwhile, a Sudanese military plane headed for Darfur crashed on Sunday near Khartoum, killing 15 people, according to the country's army. The plane was carrying personnel and equipment to crisis-hit Darfur. The plane's engine is reported to have stopped working, and the pilot struggled to make an emergency landing. The state news agency SUNA reported that the plane went down about 40 kilometers southwest of the Khartoum suburb of Omdurman. The plane is said to be the property of Azza Air. Meanwhile, the armed forces have formed a committee to investigate the recurring accidents with Antonov aircraft owned by the Azza Group. Now we move to West Africa, where the Nigerian military has announced that 30 Boko Haram militants were killed in a gunshot exchange in the northeast of the country. Lieutenant Eli Lazarus, an army spokesperson, said the battle in Damaturu, which lasted for several hours, led to 10 arrests. According to Lieutenant Lazarus, a senior commander for the militant was killed, known as One-Eyed Bakaka. One-Eyed Bakaka has been described as a notorious field commander in Damaturu and a close associate of the group's leader Abu Bakar Sheku, but the information remains to be verified. Human rights groups have said army activities have equally led to the death of civilians in the north of the country. Kenya has beefed up security in the country in anticipation of retaliatory attacks from pockets of leftover Al-Shabaab sympathizers. Kenya is cautious of the ripple effects of the military action of the country in Somalia that it will have back home. Churches such as the Holy Family Basilica in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, can only have masses after safety has been declared. The security consultants in the country have voiced their concerns, especially regarding plastic bombs or explosives, which cannot be detected by metal detectors. The local residents are scared of what could happen and listen to any warnings from the police and the government. Let's get some reactions from locals and Simuyu Weronga, security consultant.
Are we technologically capable of actualizing our concern? Because having a metal detector does not stop somebody walking in with a plastic or a gel-like explosive. Let's now take it upon ourselves. The security is our business. Let's take it up, to ensure we are safe and share with what we have with government organs.
Don't be where people, where there is congestion and where there are no gadgets like CCTV, where people can be monitored.
Meanwhile, the Great Lakes Summit has started today in Kampala, Uganda, with the crisis of the DR Congo at the heart of it. The group of countries are debating whether to send troops to the boundary between DR Congo and Rwanda to concretize and arrive at a peaceful solution. The Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete is expected to be in attendance as his country can provide troops for the neutral force to be deployed. Analysts have, however, expressed pessimism at the meeting of the heads of states of the Great Lakes region. They advanced that the United Nations has already deployed around 19,000 peacekeeping forces in the eastern DR Congo, but this has not quelled the escalation of fighting in the country. Now we're moving further up north in Africa, where the reopening of the Djerba rubbish dump in Tunisia has led to clashes between the police and protesters. Last Saturday, some 50 people have been injured due to the controversial opening of the dump on the tourist island of Djerba. 49 police and 2 demonstrators were injured, according to reports from the Interior Ministry. Protesters threw rocks and firebombs at the police. They also set some cars alight before the police dispersed them using tear gas. According to local media, the protest was triggered by the decision of the guerrilla authorities. Now we're off to Algeria. Well, Algerian former President Shali Ben-Jedid died last Saturday after a protracted battle with cancer. His body was taken to the People's Palace in Algiers yesterday. The current president, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, was there to pay tributes to the former president. A funeral will be held today at the El Alia Cemetery for the 83-year-old. Ben-Jedid was a veteran of the Algerian War against the French colonial rule in the 1950s. He ruled the country from 1978 till 1992, when he was forced out by a military coup. Bouteflika declared 8 national days of mourning as of Saturday. We move into Europe, where a new wave of protests were taken to the streets of Madrid yesterday. Spaniards were angry over proposed public spending cuts to be introduced in the 2013 budget. They condemned further cuts. The Spanish Central Bank Governor Luis María Linde, who just recently got appointed to the post, addressed the Parliamentary Budget Committee. It has said that the government 2013 budget was based on rosy forecasts for economic growth and tax revenue. Though Spain has cut tens of billions of euros in costs, it needs to do more in order to meet next year's deficit target of 4.5% of gross domestic product agreed with the European Union. Now, Italy, still in Europe, is facing problems of a different nature due to immigration. Italy's Coast Guard early Sunday morning rescued a vessel with some 166 migrants in Maltese waters. The migrants had departed from a port in Libya and landed some 56 nautical miles to the south of the Sicilian island of Lampedusa. The migrants were then transferred on 3 rescue vessels and then taken to Lampedusa. There were 34 women and 2 children rescued from a wooden boat which sank shortly after they were put on rescue vessels, according to the Italian news agency ANSA. Let's go down to South America, where Venezuela's Hugo Chavez was declared winner at the end of elections yesterday. The president was re-elected and won by a slim chance as he gathered 54.52% of the votes, slightly beating his rival to become victorious. The turnout for voting was a record one, as 80% of Venezuelans came out to vote. Chavez was criticized for using state resources during his campaign, which did not leave much room for fairness during the elections. Despite his victory, Chavez was down by 25% of votes, which he gained in 2006, showing the level of disgruntlement and anger over failure in his previous terms to resolve issues of crime, blackouts and corruption. Now we go over to China, where Novak Djokovic won the China Open yesterday, beating Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga to do so. Top-seeded Djokovic, who was beaten about a month ago in the US Open by Andy Murray, beat Tsonga 7-6, 6-2 to win his 3rd China Open tennis title in Beijing. Djokovic did struggle in the first set before getting a tiebreaker and went ahead to break the 3rd-seeded Tsonga twice in the second set. He danced to his victory to the delight of his Chinese fans. Let's hear from the winner, Novak Djokovic.
I was lucky in the end of the first set. I played some good points, and when you have a set advantage, it's much easier mentally to continue on the match.
Tsonga, please. Tsonga, just the join.
Well, that's a job well done there, Djokovic. And thanks for watching, and see you in a moment.